welcome to the first in our series of In the Know with the CPO. And I'm very pleased to welcome Sarah Coleman, who is CPO of cybersecurity firm Adarma, which is backed by the PE firm Livingbridge. Sarah has just done her first 6 months with Adarma, is a first CPO appointment for the firm. And Sarah and I have known each other for very many years, and she is part of an exclusive club where we have, as a search firm, placed her on more than one occasion, which I think is saying that we've been in this business for too long, Sarah. Anyway,
possibly.
Here we are. And I've got some questions for you around what it's like to be CPO in a PE-backed business, a fast scaling business. Adarma's about 350 people, if I'm right. Now, traditionally, HR leaders are given time to formulate their people plan, a 30, a 60, a 90-day plan. Has that been your experience?
Not exactly. I think one of the interesting things about joining a company like Adarma and the growth strategy and what they're trying to achieve is the speed they want to see change, and also from a personal perspective, how I wanted to add value, because it was a new role and the question was being asked, like, why do we need a CPO? So I actually adopted a slightly different approach this time, and rather than going around the organisation and talking to lots of people all of the time, I kind of went into meetings and asked them what I could fix. So I went into a meeting with my own team and said, name me 3 things I can fix to make your job easier, make us deliver better, or frustrate you. And I talked to the wider organisation in a similar way, especially the peers on the leadership team. And by doing that, I could identify where things overlapped very quickly. I think organisations that grow build things on things, not on purpose or for any other reason, that they want to improve. And what I was able to do was come in and go, well, some of this isn't working because you've got 3 different processes for exactly the same thing in a very small sized organization compared to, say, where I'd been previously. And some of it was just simplifying it and moving things forward and making a change. So I didn't go back to the SLT and go, here is my 90-day plan after 30 days. I kind of was doing my budget on day 3.
So given that you've got to work at pace and you've got to try and help people along the way, how do you know what's right for your organisation?
I think there's a number of things you can do, but I think you have to be pragmatic, and I think you have to take the 80-20 rule. So, in terms of, say, talent acquisition, I could see prior to joining some things I changed on the advert to make the organisation slightly more attractive. Adarma has some amazing clients and is looking to be, is a cyber defender and has such an amazing brand, how you could use that within the work that the people function was doing. So it's kind of pulling together stuff that was already there, but also willing to make a mistake, willing to go, we should try this, and then go, well, no, that actually doesn't work in this environment. It might have worked in a different environment. And listening, I think, was the other thing, is, really listening and then going, have we ever tried this? Have we considered this? And also what we were looking to achieve. Why were we doing certain things? Why were we spending money in a certain way? Why were we on certain websites, talent acquisition? Why were we doing certain training? What was good for our clients? What was good for our organisation? And that's one of the ways I was able to work out quite quickly where we needed to have an impact and what we could change.
And you and I, in previous conversations, have talked about the need to take advantage of low-hanging fruit, quick wins. Have you been able to kind of do that on the hop whilst trying to get an idea of what's needed for longer term?
Yes. And I think the easiest example is attraction of employees and kind of our hiring process, and looking at the feedback of candidates and looking at things where, we were just taking too long to hire, and really unpicking it and going, no one's agreeing of what we're looking for. So let's get those 4 people in a meeting room and get that agreed and write a very traditional job description. So this wasn't necessarily as much as I'd like it to be, wasn't rocket science or brand new, but it was just that the organisation had grown at such a pace. Everyone was like, well, we need this, do we need this? And it was like consolidating. So in terms of talent acquisition, we've done some things, improve adverts, taken ourselves off the scraper websites, all of those kind of things, improved our processes, put in very clear interviewing panel processes, make sure they're diverse processes, all of those kind of things. But the other thing is we've educated the business with us. So we haven't gone out and told people what we were going to do. I've been very clear that we've asked people and brought people into the discussion so they can see the value the change will bring. And then all you have to do is look at the numbers. So our gender diversity has gone up by 20% in applications. Our applications have gone up by 135% in the first 6 months. When I joined, we were getting 5 rejections a month for jobs because of a number of reasons. We've had 5 in the last 6 months. So it's understanding and kind of just asking those questions, and thinking about it and using some classics, walk in other people's shoes, think about how it feels on the other end of the phone. Are you really going to wait 3 weeks for an interview? Do you want to spend 2 weeks creating a presentation? And when you ask those questions, most people will go, no. So why would we?
I think one of the things that it struck me from talking to my network who are in first-time CPO roles for organisations, not necessarily your first time in a CPO position, is the need to be really pragmatic. Things that are simple to you are things that an organisation has not thought of before or framed in this way. So the things that you're saying now seem blinkingly obvious, but they're not when you're stuck in your ways or you've never done it differently. The flip side, of course, and I use the analogy of an elastic band. You need to delve down into the detail, but then you need to stretch up strategically. And given that your organisation hasn't necessarily had an exec level HR representative on it, can you give me some examples of some of the other end of that spectrum that you've had to kind of work in your first 6 months?
I think in terms of, the strategy around how we want to establish a performance culture has been something from a more strategic level we've been looking at, because it is around how we enable our culture, how we underpin our employee value proposition, how we strategically bring together the external and the internal. And I think often from a people perspective, we become very internally focused. So it's, it is the processes, it's, all initiatives, training courses, whatever it is. And actually what we need to be able to do is think about, okay, where can we utilize externally things that will help the organization win more clients? How do we become an organisation that is known as cyber defenders and the employer of choice, which is what everyone's looking to achieve? But that is taking the information from your chief revenue officer, taking the information from your chief delivery officer, your chief marketing officer, and your CFO, and pulling it into a narrative that strategically shows the value of being an employee at an organisation like Adarma. And it isn't for me personally about lots of long presentations and lots of all of those kind of things. It's about being able to go, here's the outcome we're driving for, and here are the type of things we're going to do to drive that outcome. And, if you're clear on what the outcome is and the benefit and the return on investment to the business, people follow you and things happen relatively easily because you are very clear. We want to be that employer of choice. We are the company of choice from some very large clients to protect their footprint. Yeah. So we want to be the company that employees come to. There is a massive skills gap, in cybersecurity and technology. You can look anywhere in the newspapers, on anything, it's all of this gap. And one of our biggest investments is around our people, our capabilities, and the growth we can give people in different ways.
It's interesting you talk about using data that's already there. And I appreciate that you may not have had an ATS system or a full HR system, but in order to operate fast in your environment, you've used other functions, sister functions like marketing, like the revenue team, to give you the data you need to put together a compelling people plan. HR is very good at generating, well, it's not very good, it tries to generate its own data for its own purpose, but actually you've just demonstrated that you're able to find data from within the business that already exists and use it to your own ends.
Exactly. And I mean, I think if you take, what we're looking to achieve with our customers, clients, and within the market and our thought leadership, that's a massive source of information. And also from a people perspective, a massive selling point and an opportunity for us. And I think we are, as human beings, are prone to overcomplicate activities on occasion. And I definitely know I've done it. I'm not sitting here going, oh no, I do everything really well. Definitely haven't. And there are highs and lows across my career, as you especially well know. But I think one of the things that I've really tried to do in Adarma, and the people function is one of our mantras, is keep it simple and bring together things you already have. You don't need to recreate the wheel. We don't need to be overcomplicated, because doing something simply may well get you exactly where you need to be in a quicker and faster way because it's easier to understand. But it is also understanding for our employees how all of the work they do for the clients in whatever part of the organisation they are impact the revenue numbers, how it helps to build us externally, how when we go and talk in different forums, we talk about the cyber market as a whole and the challenges we see as a whole. We want to be that voice in the market. And there's all of that information that from a people perspective I can use without trying to rack my own brains and go, well, how does this work? The information's often there. And I think in a PE backed firm and a smaller organization, it's just unpicking it a bit and going, oh, okay, this is what that means. And I did, I've been around in people and human resources for a number of years, but there's still learning to be done about how you can, be a voice at the table, not just around people, but as a business leader.
Obviously, you have to work at pace, and you've delivered an awful lot in the first 6 months you've been there. But thinking a little bit longer term, what is Adarma trying to achieve in the next 12 months? And what are you as CPO doing to enable that?
As an organisation, we've got very ambitious growth plans. We've got new products on the horizon. We're looking to establish and continue our establishment as, the firm to go to in the market. And as CPO, I think, my biggest role will always be, have we got the right talent? Are we developing the right talent? Are we developing the right type of organisation? And I don't, and you'll probably have noticed, I don't use the term transformation very much, because I think people think that has a beginning and an end. And I think organisations are consistently evolving to their next development point, their next growth point, or through their next challenge. And I think, as I look across the next 12 months, we've got things in place around, continue to build the operational foundations, our EVP, are we clear that our employees understand it, let alone the external market? Desperately want to diversify our talent, and we are looking at working with the Prince's Trust to get started in cyber, to bring in diverse people, diverse employees. We're looking at different ways we can be a market leader in these areas that link in with our growth plans, because if you're a market leader in certain areas, people want to join you, equals growth. And the other thing really is building on the work we've been doing around listening to our employees and responding to what they're telling us, whether that's around wellness, diversity, equity and inclusion, how they want to give back into the community and how we can do that as a whole organisation. There's lots of discussion, I think, around bringing your whole self to work. I have a slightly different perspective, that I think it shouldn't be a discussion. It should just be who you want to be at any point. And I think, my final thing is to be part of a leadership team of an organisation that is empowering their employees to be those cyber defenders, to delight our clients and have the perspective with Gartner and others to change the way people are thinking about what we do.
Excellent. So it's a busy time for you. I think you've got lots to concentrate on. Well, it was a pleasure to be part of the journey that we had in placing you at Adarma. And I look forward to hearing about the next 6 to 12 months on your journey. And thank you very much for your time, Sarah Coleman.
Thank you very much for having me, Olivia Stone.
My pleasure.